Hi again guys, and welcome to episode 11 of Dirtmasters, the review series for Gran Turismo 6, where we're just doing a relatively quick evaluation of each real rally car that's featured on Gran Turismo 6. So in this episode, as you can see, we are reviewing the ST205 shape Toyota Celica. This is the GT4 WRC car. Very well known, very respected, and very successful in real life. But as we've seen previously in this series, real life success is no guarantee that a car will be good on the game. So how does this Celica compare to other cars in the game? Well, let's go to the track and find out. Now, for straight line performance, the Celica ST205 is pretty much equal to the majority of the other WRC cars in the game. So for pure straight line acceleration, I'm going to give it an average 3 out of 5, because it's not bad, but it's not among the quickest of the rally cars in the game. For low speed handling, I'm going to give it a 4 out of 5, because it is above average, but it's definitely not perfect. There is a little bit of heaviness to the steering, but nothing too bad, just a little bit heavier than you would expect. For the brakes on this one, I'm also going to give it a 4, because they are pretty good, but they're not as good as some of the other WRC cars. And overall, for a city track, I'm going to give this car a rating of 4 out of 5, because it is above average, but again, not quite perfect. So now let's see how it takes on a country track. Now, one potential advantage that the Celica does have over many other rally cars is that although it is a production-based WRC car, it's more of a sports car than your average WRC. Most WRC cars are based on just general hatchbacks and saloons. This car is already a sports coupe, which means it has a low centre of gravity, a naturally wide, stable track, and better weight balance. So how does it perform on this type of track? Well, it performs pretty well. I'm going to give it a rating of 4 out of 5 for twisty country tracks, because it is very good. For top end performance, again, I'm going to give it a 3 out of 5, so the same as acceleration. And the reason for that is because it's pretty good, but it's nothing special really. It's just, again, your average WRC car performance. For overall drivability though, I am going to give it a strong 5, because it is a very user-friendly package. So that's it for a country track. Now let's see how it handles a dirt track. Now, as we just mentioned on our country-based track, the Celica has more of a sports car image around it, more so than most WRC cars. So how does that affect this car's performance on a dirt track? Well, in the case of the Celica, it actually makes it good. And overall, I'm going to give this car its highest rating of the 4 track types on this track type. I'm going to give it a strong 5 out of 5 on dirt tracks, because it feels very, very good to drive. The performance is very good. The lap times that it will give you are very strong, and it's relatively easy to get a good lap out of this car. It behaves very well, it's very consistent, you can predict the way it will handle very well, and it doesn't really do anything to surprise or shock you, which really is what you want from a rally car. You need that consistency, and this car does provide that. So overall, for a dirt track, it's a great result really. But as with many rally cars, it's no guarantee that it will be good on a snow track just because it's good on a dirt track. So how does this car perform on a snow track? Well, let's go to Chamonix now and find out. Now, the aforementioned stability and natural weight balancing that comes from being a sports car style of body and chassis really does benefit the Celica ST205 on a snow-based track. The length and also low centre of gravity and wide track make it great for really holding a good line around these snow corners, which, as we've mentioned before, do require much more of a flow from corner to corner than a dirt track, because whereas dirt tracks require a lot of starting and stopping, snow tracks require more of a constant average speed that is maintained through each corner. And this car is very good for that. Now, I'm not going to give it a 5 out of 5 for a snow track, because it doesn't feel as perfect here as it does on a dirt track, but I am going to give it a strong 4, because it is good. There's no doubt about that. It is a very good snow racing car. And for its high-speed handling, which is obviously important on a snow track, I'm also going to give it a 4 out of 5, because again, it's not perfect, but it is very good. The only reason why I don't give it a maximum 5 is just because there is a little bit of heaviness to its steering at high speed, but nothing that's hard to deal with. So that's it for our track-based testing. Now let's go finally back to the garage for a roundup of this car's best and worst points. Overall then, the ST205 shape Celica GT4 rally car is a very good all-round rally car. It's up there with the greats like the Evo, the Delta and the Impreza for being one of the best all-round rally cars. It's user-friendly, its handling is consistent and reliable, there's tons of grip, the brakes are very good, the weight balance is very good, and it's very easy to drive, which, as we mentioned before, is very important for making a rally car that can appeal both to less and more experienced drivers. Now, the main downside, first of all, that I would say this particular Celica has is just, it's not really a downside as such, and it's probably more a case of my personal opinion, but I would just say that the Celica has a little bit of a lack when it comes to being a really engaging drive. It's kind of emotionless. It all feels a bit clinical with the Celica, almost German in the way it delivers its performance. On paper, it performs very well. It will give you consistent times on any track that you put it on. But it's quite dull, to be honest. Now, I'm sure there are people who are a huge fan of the Celica. Personally, I'm not. And although I try to be impartial in these tests, I feel like that always does have a bearing on the overall rating. But to me, this car just feels like it just lacks a bit of character that you may not think is important to driving a car, but I feel it really is important. Because if you feel a connection to the car, and if you feel like the car really has a personality and an attitude, I find that that's better to work with. Whereas with this car and cars like it, I feel more like it's all very, as I said earlier, very clinical. So it can accomplish great things, but you won't necessarily enjoy doing it. It's just academic. As far as its best point, I would say its best point is just how good this car is overall. It's not the best at any particular thing, but it is very good at pretty much everything. So overall, I would recommend this car to someone who's looking for a great all-round rally car, maybe something that has more of a sporty image than, say, the four-door Imprezas and Evos and that type of thing. And it certainly does have a sporty image. It's a good-looking car, it has a good shape, nice low centre of gravity, and it is a good performance car all-round. It also happens to be a premium car, which is a great upside, so it has a fully detailed interior, and that's rare for some of these older rally cars. Most of them are not premium cars. Even the other Celica is not a premium car. So that's another upside. And the final good thing I would say about this car is its price. It is very well priced. It's a 350,000 credit car, which is significantly cheaper than many of the newer shape WRC cars and many of the classic rally cars as well. So it is certainly good value for money. So as always, I'll put this car's specs, ratings and lap times in the video description for you to compare that to the other rally cars if you need to, and I'll see you next time. And as always, thanks for watching.